Hello again, welcome back. Here we are to talk about JavaScript and data visualization, class number 2. What are we going to talk about today? Well, let's do a review of arrow functions. So we'll go over the arrow functions that we talked about in the last class. We'll talk about the solutions to these arrow function challenges, and then we'll cover callbacks and for each, and then get into map, filter, and reduce. So hopefully by the end of class, you'll be able to use callbacks and use map, filter, and reduce. That doesn't sound like a whole lot. There's just 2 lines there, but actually mastering these skills is huge. Okay, so let's review arrow functions. So what I have here is I have a REPL that has some arrow function challenges in it. So you can open this up and view your arrow functions here. I'm going to kind of rearrange this a little bit. There we go. Right, and you'll see that there's a few challenges here. These are written as regular functions, so your goal is to rewrite each of these functions as an arrow function and try and write it with as few characters as possible, okay? So you can stop the video and then try these solutions. There's 5 challenges here. And, you know, so you'll have 5 answers and then we'll review the answers afterwards. Okay, so how did you do? I'm going to go over the solutions. Let's take a look here at our solutions. So for challenge 1, this was the function. It's called 2, and it console logs 1 plus 1. So what we'll do is we'll create a variable 2. There's no parameter, so we have to include the parentheses, or you could put the underscore there. That's actually 1 fewer character, but I actually like the parentheses. It reminds me that it's a function more than the underscore does. And then we'll have the code block for our function. Since it's a single line of code, we don't need the curly braces. Okay, challenge number 2. So this challenge creates a function called 3 that returns the sum of 1 plus 2. So here we can write it like this, and this is an implied return. We don't have to use the return keyword because it happens on 1 line. Okay, great. Challenge number 3. So challenge number 3 is a function that takes in a parameter, n, and then it multiplies n times n and returns the answer, okay? So the answer here would be 1 parameter, and then our function takes this parameter variable, multiplies it by itself, and this is an implied return. Since we only have a single parameter, we don't need to include the parentheses around it. Okay, great. Challenge number 4. So this is a sort function that takes 2 elements, a and b, and then it subtracts a from b and returns the value, okay? Since we have 2 parameters, we have to include the parentheses. There's the implicit return since the whole statement is done on 1 line. Okay, great. And then our last question, right? So has nanny takes in a passenger, maybe gets the age of the passenger and says, hey, if that's less than 15 and there's no parents, right, then if number of parents is 0, then that person probably traveled with a nanny, okay? And we'll return true. Otherwise, we'll return false. So to solve this one, we only have a single parameter, so there's no parentheses needed. And then we can actually reduce this to a true-false statement, right? Because, you know, the JavaScript will do the comparison here, less than or the equal sign, and give us a true or false, and then this will evaluate to true or false, and then the and says if this is true and this side is true, then the whole thing is true, otherwise it's false. So if we rewrite it like this, we can say, hey, if age is less than 15 and if parent or child is equal to 0, then this whole thing is true, okay? So how did you do? Hopefully you did well on that, and that's the answers there. So let's talk about callbacks, okay? Maybe I'll stop the video here and I'll make another video for callbacks.